feeling, so?
Feeling great, man. How you feeling? How was your trip?
Feel
Liberated?
feel rebirthed.
Uh-oh.
Whole different life, man. We're gonna talk about that first before we get into it. Can't you tell my voice changed?
And you look a little slimmer, I'm just saying.
Bruh,
Look,
let me tell you. Meat is a specialty over there in Africa.
lots of veggies.
Yes. Plant-based diets.
Look, change your life.
Dope.
Totally different over there. So for the new people, for our regulars that's been supporting us while we was gone, this is Tech Beats and Bytes, brought to you by Digital Grass, world famous House of Mac, sponsored by the Knight Foundation. And by the way, since I'm back, shout out to our boy Matt Hagman running for Congress. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yup.
He had a fantastic event, by the
Yo,
way.
I heard that
you missed
opening.
it.
Yeah, I was mad. I missed that.
Yeah, it was good, though.
Yeah, that seemed quite amazing.
And the weather was bad, so you know it's
Yo,
major.
he sold, I heard it was like crowded with a rainstorm, tropical depression, and everything.
And Brickell was shut down.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they still came
Still
through.
came out.
Shout out to Matt Hagman.
He bring the people.
I feel sorry for whoever running against him. It's going to be hard for you.
Right?
He got all the entrepreneurs on. that boy,
All of the South Florida
that boy
young
got the
professional.
city on lock. City on lock.
Yeah.
So, Self, what was it like when we were gone, man? What did we miss?
We
What
were
did
lost. We were like a captainless ship,
Oh.
Hey, you know,
just out in the ocean, going whichever way the wind takes us, which was nowhere, sir. Nowhere.
well, now that we're back, let's steer this ship back in the right way. So, we're going to give you guys a brief. LaToya is going to interview me, but I'm sorry. None of this is possible without my amazing co-host. And now that she's back, the show is really on. Let's give a round of applause for LaToya
That's right.
Stirrup,
Hey, thank you.
president of Digital Grass,
Absolutely. Always
co-founder
a
of
pleasure to be here.
Cosmology.
Yes.
Finally
doing great
remembered how to say it.
things.
Yes, I heard.
All around great person.
Doing
Yes,
great things.
amazing person. So, Toya, you said you want to ask me a couple of questions to tell the people about my voyage to
Yeah.
Malawi.
So let's start out with why you went to Africa in the first place. Who brought you?
So, this amazing queen by the name of Angela Benton has a program out here called New Me Accelerator.
And we had her on the show.
Yes, she was one of our first guests for the opening show. Yeah. And so we were filming. She does a 1-week accelerator here in Miami. And one of her companies has a solar-powered company.
Wow.
And we were there filming her 1-week accelerator. And the guy was just like, you know, I like the way you guys move. I like the vision you have. So if I got you guys tickets to Africa, would you come film a documentary about the company and what we're doing over there in Malawi, where 85 to 90% of the country doesn't have electricity?
We're talking about groundbreaking work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big stuff. So this was February, March. So we was like, okay, you're not going to say no. You're not going to turn down a free trip to Africa. So, of course, we said yes, but we didn't expect to hear anything. And you know, Medium 4, Digital Grass, we had just pivoted into the whole storytelling and making content.
Exactly.
Then 2.5 months later, we got an email with tickets.
And you was like, bet.
Yeah, I was like, wow, we're about to go to Africa.
Right.
Then when we got the itinerary and the shot list, then it
It's
was like,
real.
we really going to Africa. Then when you go to the doctor, and she was like, don't open your eyes in the shower. Keep your mouth closed when you're taking a shower. Here's malaria pills.
Wow.
Start talking to you about all the things you can and can't do. It was like, wait, we really about to go to Africa.
Yeah. But is it that real, though? Because there's a whole idea that they try to limit sort of like travel for certain groups internationally. So are those sort of like medical, concerns, are they legitimate, or do you feel like it's sort of to like block us from expanding and going and seeing some places?
I mean, for the most part, we had our driver, Kennedy was our driver. He got sick. I think he ended up like having malaria like the day we left.
Wow.
You weren't supposed to eat the skin off the fruit there because you're cleansing it with tap water.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
real.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's really real when you get off that first leg, because the first leg you leaving from IAD up in DC. So you flying in the Ethiopian Airways. So you get on the Ethiopian plane, they got 13, 20 movies for you to look at. They serving food every 3 to 4 hours. So you like, oh man, Africa ain't gonna be that bad. Then you hit that first airport
Yeah.
for that exchange.
Different world, huh?
Yo, toilets don't flush the same. And I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. That smell, that smell when you first get off that plane, it's just, you think about it, you like, oh, it's just because they don't use deodorant or they just don't have the same kind of hygiene. Nah, they literally can't afford to take a shower every day because of the water outages and the fact that they don't have electricity.
Right,
So,
which is the real issue.
Yeah. So the lack of water is, I mean, if I don't remember which movie it was, but one of the movies it said that the next war or our next world war would be based off of water.
Yep.
And going there, yeah, I can see that happening. The basic necessities and the things that we're used to, the fact that we got these lights set up and we got lights and it's still daytime.
Exactly.
They would be looking at us like, what are you doing? Like, that
We
needs to
take
be
it for
run up.
granted.
Yeah. So a lot of things that you take for granted here, just a hot shower, I mean, we complain about internet going out. We got to a point.
Wi-Fi not being everywhere.
Right. Yeah. The Wi-Fi, man. I think that Wi-Fi was like 2 megabytes a minute over there, bro. It took like 3 hours just to upload a photo to Instagram.
Yeah.
You just got to a point you was like, let me just detach from it because it's not worth it.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the actual company that you went to go film and, capture what they were doing. What are they actually doing? What community are they trying to serve? And what technology are they bringing to the forefront?
So the basis of their company is they're going into the villages. So I guess a lot of people, you hear about third world countries and you hear the things. So the villages we were at are not places you're going to get to see on a safari. The villages we were at were actually these huts and these places that are built they're making their own bricks.
Wow.
They're building their houses and everything. Every morning you're getting up to pump the water and you're seeing these actions. And basically it'd be anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people in a tribe. These are different tribes. There's 44,000 tribes in Malawi, something right there. And so in these tribes, about under 4%, maybe 2% actually have electricity inside of the tribe.
Right.
So we are actually providing electricity, more so just solar power, just so they can do basic things like charge cell phones to be able to make calls for emergency needs, being able to have light so the kids can read and do their homework after the sunset. So their life over there right now is pretty much sunrise till about 8 p.m.
Exactly.
After 8 p.m., it's just too dark to do anything.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much masters now of filming with low lights. Shout out to Sony for coming out with those cameras we got, because we had to shoot it as if we saw it.
Yeah.
So the first couple of nights we're shooting with no lights. And the first night we got to our Airbnb, I won't even go to the Airbnb. So we were supposed to stay in a 4-bedroom rental. So we were in an 8-bedroom hostel with 4 bedrooms in it.
Right.
The second night we come home after filming, the water's gone. So everybody's getting ready to take a shower, and we were like, there's no water. They were like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll go and boil you some water and y'all can just wash off.
Just old school. And look, we deal with that when a hurricane comes.
Right.
Right. That take you back to like Andrew days for all of those who are Miami natives.
So everybody looking like,
yeah,
you want us to, and they ain't even flinch. Like, they was like,
because it is
this
what it is.
life.
Yeah.
So us still being bougie at that point, we were like, yeah, nah, that ain't gonna happen. So we packed up all our stuff and went to a motel. Which the motel ended up being at MIT, which was Malawi Institute of Tourism.
Not technology.
Nah, it wasn't technology.
Oh, I was ready for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Malawi Institute of Tourism. So you wake up 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It's just cackling and laughing. So pretty much 18 to 26-year-olds, we thought the hotel was empty just because it was empty.
Yeah.
The hotel is pretty much a test site for the kids to come and train. So you wake up, it's like 16 young girls that's waiting to clean your room and so they're trying to learn the industry.
Okay.
So we were like, yeah, now we know why this is empty.
Right.
But the one thing is, as I mentioned when you said that, one thing is like the laughter over there is actually one of the things that stood out the most. To see people with so little but to see them so happy
Right. Right.
was a big impact. And I mean, a lot of people here can relate. How often are you walking down the street and you look up and most of the time people don't even make eye contact with you, or do you take the time to even look at them and smile or just say hello? And we don't do that.
Right.
You know, and I noticed that as soon as we got back to DC, it's just people are emerging their phones, but they're just, everybody's just looking at you and smiling.
It's that human connection. And
Yeah.
that point was, I was going to ask you sort of what was an aha moment for you, sort of being on the ground, being there, capturing what's happening. What sort of was a good pivot for you?
The pivot would have been the conversation we had at lunch when our young man, he was our translator, straight up hustler. I don't care how you put it.
Right.
They say you got jobs like a Jamaican. You ain't never seen jobs till you seen an African. This boy was selling everything from cars to cell phones to laptops.
Got to make it do
Just
what it do,
balling.
right?
And so Enoch was sitting there, and the moment hit when he said to us, it wasn't welcome, or it wasn't welcome to my country. He said, welcome home, my brother.
Wow.
And when he said that, that was kind of that moment where some things changed. And then he went into a conversation where he was explaining, because we was talking about, you know, the level of crime and how we might not have felt safe. And he was like, you know, we're too poor to steal, because the stuff you steal, you really can't do anything with. But what he said after that was that the basis of greed and the elements of slavery was what caused, and is what's continuing to cause, so much self-hate
Yeah.
amongst our community. And if we learn to just appreciate what we have versus sitting around focused on what we don't have, we could remove a lot of that hate. And when I thought about that, he was just like, over here, we just don't hold on to things.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't hold on to grudges. It's just not a part of our culture. And that's when it kind of is set, because the next thing you have is a brother walking by and he's like, hey, what's up? He's just smiling at you, shaking your hand.
Exactly.
And so that's when it was kind of like, yeah, a lot of stuff is just because we have an abundance of things and we don't appreciate what we have.
And talking about the diaspora a little bit, because you kind of touched on that for a second. How, and I don't know if you got into these sorts of types of conversations while you were there, but what is their sort of outlook on the African diaspora and those who are in countries like Brazil and America and the Caribbean in relation to themselves being on the continent of Africa?
I would say one of the biggest things would be sema and beans. And I'm using that as an example because sema and beans is like pretty much is like Greek grits and red beans.
Okay.
And so when you hear people and it's like, you know, beans and rice and
Right.
all these things that we think we have that are established, these are nothing but spin-offs of the originals of what's come from the continent of Africa. And to know that almost everything we embrace has been originated there and you're actually getting to be a part of it, the diaspora don't mean that much. It's actually just another way to divide us.
Right.
No matter what, if you look at history, your history is going to track back to something that came from Africa. And so it's not to take away from the culture of the islands. It's not to take away from the cultures of diaspora. But if you really want to know your roots, you're not going back to the Bahamas. You're not going to South America. You're going to go back to Africa. Everything that I thought was something different, we was able to have the original version of it there.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
that was the biggest thing. They were like, you know, that's when we started having a conversation about the Chinese, where they were
That was
just,
going to be my next question. Go ahead.
where they were just talking about how the Chinese is just coming in and buying up countries.
Yeah.
They're implementing infrastructure for free, but nobody can value the price of what that's going to cost. And what Enoch was saying to us as he's talking to other people, he's translating, one of the biggest things is we plan for 5, 10, and 25 years. Chinese plan for 50, 100, and 250 years.
Exactly, because one of the things that is often talked about with the Chinese involvement in Africa is the sort of transportation system, right? So they're developing infrastructure, and they're coming in and building roads and highways, but the concrete has a finite lifespan. So if they're not sort of educating those in Africa to maintain and to do a lot of the infrastructure, they're going to continue to be the ones that have to own those contracts.
So, and that's the biggest thing. So you're coming in and you're building these infrastructures, but you're not hiring people from Africa
Right.
to build the infrastructure. So
And there's no give back.
right. So one of the things Enoch said, I would say one of his most famous quotes from the trip was, "I'd rather you not come to my land and give me fish. I'd rather you come to my land and give me hook and a line and teach me how to fish."
Exactly. Exactly.
And so one of the things you realize is the Chinese is bringing fish. And
Right.
some people are just happy to take, not realizing you're not learning the skill sets to continue this, and you're definitely not learning the skill sets to do this on your own.
Right, because I think that there's such a desire not to be like the West, but to be advanced. And I think if the countries were to see themselves in a unique position where they can do things that did not work for us, that they can actually like leapfrog over
Right.
some of the things that we're dealing with and still trying to figure out to where they can be even more advanced and be in a new ground. You have a lot of different entrepreneurs who are doing things in Africa. What else did you sort of see there and opportunities? You know, because we do a lot of tech, we do innovation. What are some ways that we as Americans can sort of give back and get involved in a lot of what's leading in Africa?
I mean, understanding just the basic. I mean, a grocery store.
Yeah.
Most of the grocery stores are Indian owned. So they work there. The average salary in the country we were at by US dollars is $1.50 a day.
Wow.
That's what they pretty much make. Like for example, this is a handmade Zulu Congo drum that was purchased, and I purchased this, and their money was $4,000. For us, that would cost $5.51.
Wow.
So you could $110 over there. $110 in American is $80,000 in theirs, and you could pretty much live over there for about $30,000 or $40,000 like a king. But they don't own the grocery stores, transportation. Most of the transportation, like, no offense to anybody, but y'all know how y'all see the Haitian city bus, the minibus? Yeah, the jitneys. Yeah. Their jitney game is on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It'd be
How so?
about 29 people in one of these little small Nissan jitney buses, but they're only charging about 15 to 25 cents
Yeah.
taking these routes. They have bicycle taxis. So you could make a whole business just by making a more comfortable bike for bicycle taxis, because a 80 or 90-year-old woman is still doing natural duty. So they're walking around and their main thing is balancing things on their head.
Right.
They're walking around with firewood, all supplies, 30 pounds of supplies are balancing on their
Water.
head while they walking, baby on the back, and still talking and gossiping all at the same time.
Yeah.
While breastfeeding, by the way. Just like whipping the baby around. I'm like, just so little simple things would be the base of the business, or the opportunity for the business, that I think would be real big to build up.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when can we see the documentary? What's sort of the timeline so we can have everybody ready and poised to look at it?
That's in the hands of that Queen, Miss Benton.
Okay, okay.
I have no idea how she's going to make that work. We're just honored to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I would say the way Angela moves, though, it won't be nothing too far away. But I think right now, just anybody that ever wants, I think you should travel to a lot of places. But I think if you really want to understand the roots of what's going on in this world, you have to go back to where it all started. Everybody should not make a trip to Johannesburg, South Africa, places like that.
Right.
Malawi is known as the warm heart of Africa. And it's the poorest country in Africa. They still speak their own native tongue. So we learned a little bit of their language. But I think the main thing is for everybody to at least be over there and go through that adventure and realize how much you take for granted here.
Absolutely. And when you think about sort of Africa being poised as the resource center, right? So a lot of countries pull their natural resources from Africa.
You have a country that's actually just looking to give. It's the naive element of just wanting to help their brothers. And it's truthfully a country that's still being taken advantage of. So it's like you see a situation like that versus you see a situation where you're watching ESPN and you see what's happening to Colin Kaepernick
Right.
by taking a stand. He's now being blackballed from the NFL. Just imagine what's happening to Colin Kaepernick happening to a whole continent where their only goal was to give back to others.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's different. You if you go there and you come back the same person, you didn't have an experience. You were somewhere too comfortable.
You're in the tourist
Yeah.
areas. Yeah.
But when you go there and like when we were there at the village, a chief died and we had to go through a whole procession just to get permission from the chief to be able to film. Every other day we were losing electricity. So like the last 2 dinners we had was over a light torch with no electricity. You just got used to it by the time that second week. So it's just one of those things. If you really want to humble yourself, definitely go.
Yeah.
Go back to the motherland.
What's the lasting sort of memory or thought that you'll have forever from your trip?
The last memory would actually be the driver, Kennedy. Kennedy, Lake Malawi, we stayed by a lake house that was by Lake Malawi. And I'm telling this story because one of the things in America is the masculinity of a man. And a lot of times they talk about how men don't show affection or aren't supposed to show affection and things of that nature. And, you know, Kennedy had came and grabbed me and he was like, you got to come out into the lake. You got to be in the lake. So I'm going to pick at Dante about this. So, like, 2 things that happened over there. First, I got to get this one point out. So they make homemade beer over there. They have their beer. So, you know, being with Timeline, I was like, got to have some beer. First of all, Dante wouldn't drink the beer. He was scared to drink the beer. Just want to put that out there. So I had beer with the locals.
Wait, sir. You're not on the mic.
I had to sit there and drink out of their cups. And I'm like, you know, it's boiled and it's yeast. So what if I get sick, I get sick. But I'm going to have this experience.
Right.
Then we go out onto the lake and they're like, yeah, don't stand too close to the lake. Because the crocodiles are known for eating people. Like, the way people die the most are because of the crocodiles. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So he was like, but you got to go into the lake. So one of the young men that's working where we were staying, by the way, this young man makes 50 cents a day.
Wow.
And every day we saw him, he was wearing the same stuff. So half of my clothes are still in Malawi. I just left my clothes. Yeah, I was like, I can't see this. So he took me out on the lake, and we went to a certain spot, and he was just like, you ready to go back? And I was like, nah, just let me take this in, and just, because there's mountains over there, it's beautiful.
Be in the moment, right?
Yeah, somehow he took a picture. I don't even remember when he took the picture. And Kennedy was driving anywhere from 80 to 120 kilometers per hour, like all the time we were with him. The last day he was just driving really slow. And I could see he was starting to get sad. Now, he doesn't really talk English. And I was like, man, are you all right? You know, everything okay? Like, when he was gone, his wife had got robbed. They had stole stuff from him. And he said, I'm okay. But he grabbed his phone and he showed me a picture of me and him in the boat.
Wow.
And he was just like, I'll be okay now. And when he did that, that's when I was like, yeah, I need to get home before I start crying. But that was a little emotional for a dude that I had known for more than 9 days, for us to have a connection like that and for him to share, because when we were at the lake house, most of the workers had never been inside these places they've been to.
Yeah.
So we invited them inside. We made sure they ate with us. Every time we bought something, we would buy them something. And, you know, no disrespect to anybody else that's here, anybody that's watching, but one of the biggest things that was said is African Americans actually don't go to Africa. So most of the time at these locations, they're just seeing people that are there just to parasail or go to safaris.
Right.
And they're treated as the help. Whereas we treated them as somebody we looked up to because we wanted to learn about their culture. We wanted to learn about where we were from.
There was a reverence.
That was probably the strongest connection. And I've talked to him pretty much every day since we've been back.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Love that. Love that. So any last thoughts? You have a question? No, you about to try to...
Yeah, you can do that later. I would say one of the biggest things is just look at people and smile, man. I realized a lot of things that were bothering me,
Yeah.
they really don't matter no
It's not
more.
that big of a deal.
It's not worth it. You carry stress, high blood pressure. It's a lot that goes on from carrying that kind of anger.
Exactly.
And if they can be happy and be that poor, there's no reason I can't be happy with the assets and the amount of things that God has given me. I should be happy every day.
Right.
And I would tell you, you have some lucid dreams over there. So you can believe in God, but if you don't believe in the spirits and your forefathers, the dreams over there were lucid as hell.
Wait, so on that note, you got to at least share one.
Wow.
Stop, cameraman.
Um,
Or at least a bit of one.
the biggest dream that I had was it was called. I would say if I had to label it, it was falling in love again.
Okay.
It was one of my friends here. She was in the dream, and she had kind of set this thing up where I was living through life, but everybody was in on like this big act and this big play, and I didn't know what was going on. And at this reveal party, people I thought had died or had left my life
Yeah.
started coming back into my life at this reveal party. And I was like, how did you get all this money to get because it was like for months and years that this whole situation that went on. And it was really a way to show me to appreciate the people that was in my life now, to love the woman that loves me, and to love her more than she loves me now, and to appreciate the friends that already show you that they care about you, and to quit searching for what's right there in front of you. So
Right.
that was a way for me to realize I should appreciate everything I have instead of wondering. So I guess in short of summary, the grass ain't greener. You just got to know how to water your own damn grass. So
Exactly.
I want to
Church.
make sure I take care of the love I have. So shout out to my baby girl, Alicia. That was the
That's
biggest
right.
thing for you to realize that love is right there in front of you. You don't have to look for it.
Message.
Yay. I love that. Love, right?
Yeah.
That's deep. And that's a good segue to our special guest for
Yes.
tonight, because we're going to be talking about all kind of exciting things with Miss Simone Kelly.
Yeah. All right. So now that y'all got me all messed up and teary-eyed out here, we're going to go ahead and go to the second part. So we're going to take a quick break while I wipe my eyes and stuff. So, Warren,
It's
give us a
all
little
right,
music
though.
while we bring Simone Kelly up.
Yeah. What? Come
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole
Yeah,
police
that was-
violence and that
yeah,
stuff.
that was deep.
Yeah.
So we decided the base and one of the biggest things about digital grass, the origination of our name was going to be digital grassroots, which was basically being on the ground and reaching out to people. So what better than to have a communication specialist and someone that taps into your inner feelings on the show. So we decided to bring out Miss Simone Kelly. Let's give a round of applause for
Man.
our special guest tonight.
Talk to him.
Thank you for having me.
So, Christian, make sure her mic is up. You got to talk into it. Do it like a rapper. Own Your Power Communications, Like a Fly on the Wall. Book tour is going on right now, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. How many cities are you doing with the book?
My goal is to do at least 10.
Okay.
I did already 4.
4?
So, yeah.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. Let's give her a round of applause like a fly on the
Congrats,
wall.
congrats.
Thank you.
Make sure she
Maybe
buys the book.
5.
Go ahead and test the mic, Chris. Go ahead.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And your previous book was Jack of All Trades, Master of None.
And at second glance.
At
as well.
second glance, I saw that. I was like making sure. All right. So my first question was going to be real controversial.
Uh-oh.
Get ready.
Get right into it. Get out my feelings real quick. How are life coaches different than a therapist beyond the license itself?
From what I know, I think obviously the education, but with life coaches, we help people with strategies and help them come up with different strategies to take their life to the next level. I do a little bit of, I'm kind of a hybrid. So I do business coaching and life coaching.
Okay.
Most of my clients are entrepreneurs, so I call myself a holistic business coach. So I kind of mix the two together.
Okay.
With
That makes
therapists,
sense.
obviously it's the training. They might have a little bit more extensive training. The downside where life coaches get a bad rap, I think, is because they have now become a life coach. Watch this YouTube video.
Right.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, you can be a life coach.
Real easy. They make it
Which,
real easy.
Yeah, I don't agree with those type of life
See, the
coaches.
bad rep for me with life coaches was the one that's all hype at the conferences. Then you catch them at the bar after they speaking segment. They be getting lit. I'm like, wait.
Right. But you were just telling me.
You was just telling me to better myself. Now you over here at this bar drunk as hell.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of professions that work on improving yourself, there's a stigma with that because I know a lot of therapists
Yeah.
that are like
Don't even take their own advice?
They're messed
Right.
up, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And two, I think it may
goes on
be
both
trying to
sides.
like discharge energy. So if you don't know how to like take on and talk to other people about their issues, and then how you sort of like release it back.
Well, or you become a sponge, so to speak. Or,
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess the transfer of power, you take all in that negative
Right.
because you listening all day.
Right.
The other thing too is a lot of people that are in the wellness, I guess, health and wellness and life changing industries, they got attracted to it because of their own life needing help. You know what I mean? So for me, I love self-help, self-growth. I love reading about those type of things. So I honestly didn't know I was life coaching until somebody told me, you're a life coach. I was like, oh really? I started off with business. My background is business and
Right.
marketing. So I was a business coach. But when people come to me for business coaching, if they have things in their life that aren't aligned, then
Right.
their business is not going to be, up to par.
I mean, I get it. We was consulting till we realized our advice was making people millions of dollars, and it was like, we got to charge by the
Yeah.
hour or
Hello.
something.
Okay.
So, like a Fly on the Wall, the novel. Before we get into some more questions, why don't you tell us a little bit about the book right now?
Sure. So, Like a Fly on the Wall is actually a suspense thriller with a supernatural twist.
Okay.
So I like to call it. Some people are calling it an erotic thriller, but I don't really call it that. But
Oh, I need a copy of that. Then. Make sure.
I guess they change it for people like him that need. It's based around a character named Jacques Barati, who is an intuitive counselor.
What's the name again?
Jacques Barati. He's Moroccan.
Right.
Sounds like a great.
She goes international with
Yeah.
her character.
Yeah. He's Moroccan and French, right?
Okay.
So he actually has a lot of dreams and visions from his father that passed away when he was a little boy, and his father's trying to come back and tell him, this is how I really died.
Oh,
the
wow.
story that he was told is not the truth. So that's one aspect of the story. There's another character named Kylie Collins who he ends up meeting along the way. She becomes a client of his, and she has a lot of family secrets that she's trying to uncover. So she goes to him for counseling, and then they end up becoming friends, and the story just takes off from there. I don't
Oh.
want to give too many spoilers, but
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sounds
it's been
like-
getting
sounds
a
like
lot
it
of good
become a
reviews, and
movie
I'm
or
very proud
something.
of it. Well, my goal is to do a TV series eventually, so I would like that. Movies are great, but I want something with more longevity, so that's my goal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Netflix is open.
exactly
Amazon,
what- that's on
Amazon
top of the
Video.
list.
Right. And Facebook
Yeah.
getting into content too.
Yeah, that's
Facebook
coming.
what?
Yeah,
Facebook is
Facebook
all
will,
about
yeah,
content.
they coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Toy.
No, I was gonna say, based on our last conversation that was about dreams, Jock, your character, he's intuitive. So sort of talk about you in an article or interview that you did. You talked about the intuitive nature and how people are sort of afraid of that sixth sense. Why do you think people are afraid of it, and why did you do your book around a character that has that ability?
Because in my day-to-day job, I'm an intuitive life coach, so I kind of use that skill set to help others as well. But also, I train people on how to develop their intuition, and I'm blown away every time when I teach people little techniques that they can use, that they're like, how did I know that? Oh my God, they're amazed that, literally in 30 minutes, I could teach people how to do certain techniques that can help them in their day-to-day job. Not that you have to open up a, tarot card shop or anything like that, but
Right.
it just helps you in your day-to-day life. But a lot of people are afraid of it because whether it's religion, they were told, they watch too much scary movies, they think everything's spooky. They're just told to be afraid of it. And honestly, most of us have seen things, have had dreams, have had visions. I mean, if you do a show of hands, I'm almost sure everybody in here would say they've seen something, felt something, heard something.
Right.
Even when you meet somebody, when you meet somebody, sometimes you're like, wow, I really like this person. I don't know why, but there's something about them. Or on the flip side of it, you might be like, let me stay away from that energy.
Right,
But you don't
right.
really know what it is. But one of the things that I love to teach people is to learn how to develop it more and pay attention to whatever, their intuitive triggers are, because
Yeah.
we're told it's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And not to, because I know you do consulting, but give us one tip that could sort of help us as individuals tap into our intuitive nature to make better decisions.
Number one, I would say is definitely to just start meditating and prayer, whatever your spiritual background is, and make that sacred time for yourself. Because when you start to connect with yourself and you start to know yourself more, you definitely make better decisions, and you can actually start to hear things.
Yeah.
And when also paying attention to when coincidences happen. There's no such thing as a coincidence. That's
I
what tell
completely
people all the
agree.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pay attention to those. Another thing is I call it intuitive triggers. So for instance, I get goosebumps whenever something good is happening. Look, I'm getting goosebumps right now. You can see I'm not lying. So whenever I get
She's
goosebumps,
actually telling the truth.
yeah, when I get goosebumps, that's like a good trigger that, wow, this is a good thing. So thanks, guys. That's a good thing, yeah. For other people, goosebumps might be something scary, you know what I mean?
Right,
If
right.
I feel uncomfortable around somebody, like I've been around people that have like dark energy, and I didn't notice when I first started developing all of this. I was like closing my jaw like really tight. What do you call that? Like
Clenching your jaw.
Clenching your jaw.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. It was almost like I was trying to like block them, like get out, but I didn't know what I was doing. And somebody told me, oh, you were just blocking their energy.
Wow.
And so just starting to pay attention to how you feel around certain people, how you feel around certain situations. So let's say, for instance, one of the things that happened to me was the first thing that I really knew I had something to pay attention to was I was about 16 years old and or 17, and we were going to a basketball game. And me and my friends were like, yeah, we got to go. It's going to be dope. Oh, everybody's going to be there. It's going to be really good. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to go, guys. I don't want to go. I was like, I have a bad feeling. I don't want to go. And I didn't really know what the bad feeling was. It ended up being Puffy's city college event when 9 people died.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Or the
Yeah.
stampede.
And I didn't know until we took a cab. That's how I know how to be like underage because I wasn't driving yet. And I took a cab and from the movies, and on the radio in the cab we heard.
Wow.
And I was this close to going, but my stomach was like turning. So that
Right.
was one of my signs. When my stomach churns, don't like. I've actually avoided signing major contracts because my stomach said don't do it.
Right.
So if you
Right.
pay attention to it, you won't be so. You'll trust yourself more. So that's one of the things. Meditation is one, definitely, but just paying attention to.
So your signals, your
Your
internal signals.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people was wondering how we was going to bring this back to the core of our show, which is Tech Beats and Bytes, where we talk about technology, bytes of information in the community. So Self-Born wanted me to ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
Yup.
What's some of the common traits that you notice of entrepreneurs in South Florida? Let's
You
go.
sure you want me to say this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. This is a safe space.
That's
See, and
exactly-
it is the common traits that you see, not what you want. Not
yeah,
the.
yeah, not the ones you seek. What's the ones that you seek?
Inconsistency. What's the word? Like for instance, in New York, when I would throw a networking event, I had anybody. I mean, I might be dating myself. Anybody know Norm from Cheers?
Yeah.
We had our norms that people that would show up every time, every Wednesday, 7 o'clock, or they know the event is once a month, they'd be there. Here, it's just like, oh, it's drizzling. Oh, I can't go outside. If there's a little bit of rain, they just make excuses for everything. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And unfortunately, people think because I live here, most of my income comes from here. Most of my clients are Dallas, Atlanta,
Speak to 'em.
New York, New Jersey.
Talk to 'em.
Miami ain't nothing but the base.
I love
It's
you
not
guys.
the money.
I love the
Right.
location, but I unfortunately I have not been able to have a consistent following as far as like events and what have you. So inconsistency is one of them. What else?
And you've been doing events for a long time.
Yeah, you notice I haven't done a give and take event in a while. There's
Right.
a reason for that.
Yeah.
So even when I do like the Discover Your Intuition, the class I'm talking about, oh my God, I want to take it. Oh my God, people, oh, when is it gonna happen again? And then when I have the class, 9 people, 7 people show up. But when I do it in Dallas or somewhere else, it's sold out.
Right.
So that's why there's no. I know I sound a little bit bitter, but you asked me a question. So
No, it's
so I'm
real. I
telling
mean,
you.
so-
I've noticed that.
We talk about this amongst our group a lot. That's how Digital Grass became as small as it is. It was about creating a tight circle, pretty much making our own Ocean's 11. So,
Or PayPal Mafia.
I love that. Oh wow.
Yeah.
so
I
when
say
you
PayPal's my middle name.
so if inconsistency is a common trait, what are you starting to see as some of the actual missing skills? Now, after we do this, I do want to get some of the positive, but we want to get all the negative out the way. What are you seeing as some of the missing skills of entrepreneurs in South Florida?
Missing skills. Follow-up is a huge one. Huge one. You meet people at events and, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Oh, girl, yeah, I'm going to call you. And nothing happens. And that's why when I do networking events, I'm very big on, okay, at this event, you're going to set the date of when you're going to connect. So my event Give and Take is known for that. Like we say, okay, what are you gonna give to this person? When are you gonna take for them? When you gonna hook up and meet? Whether it's a coffee, whether it's a phone call, have something in stone versus we're gonna do lunch one day. So definitely follow up is a big
Why do you think that's a thing in South Florida though? I have my reasons for it, but
I'm not quite sure.
me and Self-Born talk about it every
I
other
haven't
week.
quite figured that one out yet, to be honest. I don't know if it's a
You
I
think
don't
it's
know.
just because the weather's too good?
we're too comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a hustle missing, to be honest. You don't have that hustle.
I have a theory.
What's
Go
it?
ahead,
A little bit of a theory.
Suburbs?
A little bit of a theory is when, especially coming from another place, you got so many options. So everybody's mentality is a been there, done that, even if they never did it. So it's hard to really impress, even though you're doing something for the first time. You're showing them something new. You're educating them on something. It's almost like an ego thing that kind of keeps it where it's like, if I'm not getting in free, valet, I need a couple of drinks. I need to be treated as a VIP. Like the VIPs I want to go see. And if a drop of rain comes down,
Oh, forget
Right.
about it.
I don't know.
But I think that goes back to the hustle idea, right? Because New York, there's always something going on. And there's always people looking to be out in the streets.
And they'll still make it in 3 feet of snow.
Right.
They'll still be
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
The weather's horrible, whatever, they'll be there. So I think, there is that level of like social status or like trying to be seen in the right places.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, but it's
But
funny.
that goes back to hustle though. If you don't have that sort of grit, grind, let me be in the right places, make the connections.
As Dean Preston Jones said to me, he said the 60s missed South Florida. And if you know about the 60s, you can interpret that in your own way. But when he said that to me, it was one of those things that kind of struck a chord. I was like, it's true, because there's like a lack of unity. There's a lack of working together. There's a lack of building up. And a lot of cities had to rebuild themselves in the 60s and the 70s. And it seems like we kind of just floated through that. And then we went through the cocaine cowboys. And the next thing you know, Will Smith was making Welcome to Miami. And then everybody wanted to be hanging out in Miami.
Right.
But there was no business really coming with that. It was
Right,
just always
right.
a place to party and not really build
It was the
company.
flash,
Yeah.
the music videos and the.
But shout
all
out to
that good stuff.
Chewy that's about to hire 1,100 people to their new company. And that was good
Yeah.
for them. So we do have some
Absolutely.
things happening down here.
Right. So wait, on the positive note, so Simone, say,
Yeah, we
t-
wanna
tell
know
us
what's the positive
Tell us
tip.
how Miami is getting it right.
Yeah.
Talk to
What
us
are
about
the
how it's getting
positive
right.
traits
What are the
of the
things you've seen?
entrepreneurs? Yeah.
Right.
Of entrepreneurs?
In South Florida, what are some of the positive
I
things?
think a lot of them are very positive related to health and wellness. They care about their
Right.
It sounds like a very
Their
subtle
body.
way to say y'all care about how y'all look, but damn business.
That swimsuit look is important.
No, seriously, no. Like,
All entrepreneurs seem to make it to the gym.
No,
May not show to
I
a
do
meeting
want-
on time.
I do want to say something. No, I did join. At one point, I'm not a member right now, but I was a member of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and I did like that.
There is a
that
holistic
energy.
chamber of
There's a holistic chamber of commerce, and I did like
That's
that
pretty
the
cool.
energy. Yeah, there was a lot of people with different businesses that were, from health and people that maybe have a juice bar, maybe that somebody's a chiropractor,
Right.
It was
Yoga
a
instructors,
exactly.
all that good stuff.
A lot of people doing meditation and talking about chakras and
Can we talk about
Parking
yoga
lot.
pants at the airport? It's getting out of hand.
Really?
Some people
I
just.
mean, they're comfortable to like fly in and like do
Is
your
it yoga
stuff
pants or
in.
pajama pants? It's a
I
difference.
don't know, but
Right.
everybody ain't yoga body pants wearing.
Look, you gonna get
Some-
hit up.
Some
Twitter gonna be mad at you.
some people
That's all
need to
I'm
wear
saying.
longer shirts if they're gonna wear yoga pants.
I don't know about that. Look now.
It was a long trip, man. You see a
How
lot of
long-
stuff
how
in
long
a
was
minute.
the flight?
36 hours
What?
between the stops and the layovers. Yeah,
Ooh.
2 days. You chasing the sun.
Right. So you need to make sure your trip is worth it
Yeah,
because the travel is crazy.
and seeing that wasn't worth it.
Anyway, back to Simone. So, with your business and what you used to do with give and take, bartering was one of the things that you really, really pushed. For those who don't understand bartering and the value that comes with that, break that down a little bit. Unpack
Yeah,
that, as
that's
we like
true.
to say.
That's true.
Sure. Well, barter is the first currency at the end of the day. I mean, that's what we did in the motherland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bring it
So
back.
whether it was, it's just exchange of goods and services for a equal a value. So the way we do barter at give and take is, the old school way is I have a book, you're gonna give me a lipstick. I don't know, whatever the value is. But the way we do give and take, we have actual barter exchange where you offer a service and then you get barter credits. So it's kind of like looking at your bank account. And then those barter credits you can use with anybody in the exchange. Because the downside to when you barter with somebody like a one-on-one basis, there's nobody regulating it. And sometimes people flake out, and I always tell people, even if you're doing it one-on-one to have a contract, it's still business. It's still an exchange of services.
Right, and
of
there's a
your
value.
time. Yeah, and there's still a value.
Yeah.
That's, and with my network, we have maybe like 100 members locally, but then we have 50,000. We're in a network of 50,000, so not my members, but we're in a network of 50,000 merchants. So, for instance, if I wanted to, like this book, I did maybe about half the size was done self-published, and I probably only paid $300 cash out of pocket to do everything because I bartered everything. I got the design bartered, I got the layout bartered, the editing bartered, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely save a lot of money.
It seems in South Florida, a lot of people don't know how to barter out, how can I say this? Maybe, I don't want to just use the word consultant, but the basis of like ideation and just the thought and creativity process, it's like
They
they
don't wanna
take
barter
those
that?
things for granted.
Right.
Like everybody thinks they have a good idea, but they have no form of execution of how to move on that idea.
Right. Like strategy is
Yeah.
something you can barter. There's a value for that, I actually know somebody that was saying how she's a designer, and somebody said, well, how long is that going to take you, like an hour? And she was like, you're not paying me by the hour. You're paying me for my expertise. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or what I've studied. So people take that for granted sometimes. But yeah, I think services, that's our number one barter, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Like, consulting
Right.
services. Actually, just today, I was on the phone with someone who's a member of my network who she needs some help with getting interns, and that's one of my specialties, free labor.
Everybody needs it
I'm
sometimes.
really good at getting interns.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm helping her with that, and she's helping me with promoting some of the press that I've gotten for the book. So, she's very good with strategic ideas and,
Yeah, and I think I want to deep dive into that a little bit more because you talked about how you were able to barter for some of your book. Talk about your whole experience in publishing the book.
That's where I wanted to go, yeah. A lot of people think they want to come out with a book. So
Right.
won't you tell us what it really takes?
The self-publishing part or the being with a major publisher? Or
I would say do
The
both.
whole thing.
Yeah, the whole
The whole
thing.
experience.
Well, it is another business. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I need to, clone myself right now. But even though I have a team, it's still a lot of work, Well, when I first did the first version of Like a Fly on the Wall, it was about 236 pages, like I said. It came out It came out November 2015. And it was a lot of work because I had to have a lot of people help me edit it. It took a lot of time. And marketing it, I used technology to get the word out.
Right.
A lot of hashtag strategies and, people holding the book up with selfies.
Yeah,
And
you
that
have
helped
good
it-
stuff on Instagram.
Thank
yeah.
you. And that helped make it become a bestseller the day it came out on Amazon. And then from there, I ended
Hold on, I
up...
think y'all missed that. Her book is a bestseller. Let's give her a round of applause for that.
Man.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you. So one of the things that happened was I reconnected with a former mentor of mine, and I had lost contact with her because she had changed jobs. And we had a mutual author friend, and I said, yo, where's Rachel? I haven't seen her in forever. She's like, Rachel's a senior editor at HarperCollins. I was like, what?
Wow.
So I found Rachel on LinkedIn, technology again, and Rachel and I reconnected, and then I gave her a copy of the book, and within 2 months, I had a book deal. And I didn't have an agent, so that's one of the hardest hurdles, I would say, is because of the relationship I had with her. Look, goosebumps again. I was able to get the deal, but most of the times, no, even if you're friends with somebody, if you don't have somebody representing you, they won't even look at your book, or they won't, you need to have somebody to represent you. So I was able to get that, but now I have an agent.
Okay.
Yeah. But even that part, to be honest, after I got the book deal, I'm thinking, hey, I'm with HarperCollins. I should be able to get an agent like this.
Right.
She recommended me like maybe 6, 7 agents. 3 of them rejected me. So
Wow.
don't think just because you got a book deal, you get, that's why it's really hard. It's not
Wow.
as easy as you think. And some of them, the issue was, oh, well, we can't really put you in a box. Like, they didn't say those exact words, but they were
Right.
like,
That's what they
because,
mean, yeah.
Because, I'm one of the, there's like probably 10 books, or maybe 10 or 12 books that came out on William Morrow, which is on HarperCollins. I'm the only African-American, at least I checked. And they want to put you in an African-American box. even though my book has everybody in it. I got Puerto Rican, Russian, Cuban, everybody's in there, French, but they just say you're African American. You're an
Author, right? So they try to put you on that shelf.
And my audience, believe it or not, I was surprised when I started getting fan mail. My first fan mail was from an 85-year-old white lady. Wow. So not even like the demographic as far as just race, but even the age. Yeah. I was like, wow, I had no idea. Like my mom's friends are in their 70s, they're loving the book.
But that seems like
I would have never thought.
The basis of good business is being so talented that you can't be boxed in.
Right, thank you.
Because a lot of people come to us and they say, well, we don't really understand exactly what you do. You don't need to understand. As long as we do what we do good, that's all that matters. As long as we're delivering a good product, that's what matters. But I hate when people try to box you into categories because life, business itself is a forever evolving thing. So nothing should stay the same. I mean, you can't get stagnant. Otherwise, Tommy Hilfiger would still have just the blocks on the front of his shirt. You always got to continue to grow something. Right. So that's cool to hear that you defied the walls or you defied being blocked in and you created yourself. So that's real dope.
Yeah. And sort of taking a look at what you went through, are you now helping to consult with people who are looking to publish a book?
Yes, I am actually. More so self-publishing.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people that have a book already, but people that have had books for like years and it's just sitting there and nobody knows about it but their friends and cousins and what have you.
How many people in the audience are trying to publish a book? David,
I got a book.
1, 2, okay.
Hopefully y'all have some questions for Simone when we get to
I was about to
Q&A.
say, Q, do we got any questions? Can we get some questions set up for today? I'm sorry. So before we continue, you guys want to ask any questions, Q will be standing right over here. The young lady with the, I don't know what kind of braid you got today.
That's her birthday braid. It's her
With
birthday.
the gold dress on.
The braid and the gold dress. Come to Q and she'll ask the questions if we have any questions from the audience. So you are going to go in consulting for helping people publish. After you run through this book and you get through it, what's next for Simone Kelly?
I'm already working on the next book.
Okay.
And the goal is to do a book a year with HarperCollins.
Wow.
And I definitely want to do TV, so hopefully, I keep saying I'm brainwashing people somewhere. On Netflix,
Talking
TV,
into existence.
I really
Love
want to do
that.
that. Yeah, I used to work at HBO too, so that's another angle, so you never know.
What'd you do at HBO?
I used to run the division called, well, it was not the whole division, but I ran the lifestyle and community channel for volume.com. It was a startup that was a part of HBO.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure we bring the documentary to you so you can work some angles that way.
You never know, hey. Let's talk.
We got it on camera.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
It's okay. Look, I'm as long as you follow up, don't act like a Floridian.
Damn.
Uh-oh, called you out.
Yo,
Damn.
shots fired.
Shots.
All right, I got a question.
Go ahead,
Simone.
Go ahead, Sal.
So
Are
how?
you turning backwards when you ask?
No, that's all.
I feel
See,
very
you
rude.
look like you about to twerk real quick. Don't do that. But so here's a question.
Look back at it.
Right.
Simone, how are you? Mike, do not do that. You cannot.
Right, that is not
no.
appropriate for you.
Inappropriate
I'm
in
trying
the
to be
whole
professional
show.
here, guys.
The show will be done.
Oh, we don't do
No
professional.
music, no nothing. Anyway, no. Simone,
don't do professional.
how are you using technology and not just social media, but how are you using it to drive your business forward as we're in the third quarter of 2017? We're moving towards 2018. Tell me about your plans, technology-wise. It's Tech Beats and Bytes. Come on.
You kind of put a, I use social media. That's pretty much it. I'm not that much of a techie. I was struggling just paying the daggone ticket outside.
Facts.
I was like, how do you do this? I don't want to get a ticket.
Facts.
Mainly, yeah, she knows. She was like, are you still here? Where are you? No, I mean, social media is the only, email marketing, does that count? Or is that considered
counts.
social media?
That counts.
Right, and you have
Anything-
constant
That's number
contact.
one. That's number one.
Anything
then.
other than changing your status.
Email marketing is definitely at the top of my list. That's been one of my biggest strategies. And one of the things I see entrepreneurs here don't do, whenever you have an event, you need to be collecting emails every single time. Every single time. I started off with 30 emails, now I have 5,000. Because every single
Tell 'em.
event I did, I would be like, hey, sign up. And not just sign up. Let me make sure I can read. It doesn't say Mickey Mouse to AOL.
Right.
It's a real email address.
Yeah.
So, yeah, email marketing I love to use because I've seen it work. And I always tell people I get PayPal every time. Never fails.
That's
I
right.
get at least one
That's what's
PayPal.
up.
Yeah, when I send out an email. And they might not even be buying what I'm promoting in the email. I might be talking about an event, and they go, oh, yeah, I forgot I got to call someone. I need a coaching session. So it's staying on people's
It's that
mind.
reminder.
Yeah.
We have a question. What's up, Q?
Hi, Simone.
Hi.
I have one question from the audience, which is, what was the hardest part about self-publishing?
The hardest part, the editing part, and I honestly, we still kept finding stuff wrong after the book was already read. And I had a lot of people helping, and funny enough, one of my friends who's a realtor, not an editor, she found more stuff than other people. And I'd still joke around. Even my editors now, like, there'll be stuff people miss that are in the sex scenes. I'm like, y'all got caught up in the sex scene.
Right. They was in
You
the
ain't
heat of
see
the
that
moment.
double word? Like,
Simone, what you writing about?
Yeah, I don't think
What you
nobody.
writing about, girl?
I don't think nobody
She
thinks
said
straight
erotic
doing sex.
thriller.
it's only a few sex scenes, all right? Jeez,
Right.
relax.
That's how it
This
always
is a
starts
technology
off.
show.
But look, that
This is
sells.
a
Yeah,
family
that trigger,
show.
That was a trigger word. That make you buy the book, so it works.
Like the sunset, it's all right.
Yeah.
Your book's got Fabio on the cover.
Oh, there's children.
What you talking about?
Sorry, I forgot. All right, I'm keeping it clean.
Now, they parents chose to bring them here.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a whole nother story.
At
All right,
risk.
so-
Inappropriate.
did I answer your question? Sophie?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
did,
did, you
actually.
did.
Okay, thank you.
So we have no more questions from the audience. That was it. Got another question?
Oh, this breeze is
But yeah,
so
but in the meantime.
And we can
while
also ask questions about the first segment too, if we need to.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I do have a question. You were sort of talking about the self-publishing experience and everything. What's a key takeaway that you're gonna do moving forward while you're working on the next book that you learned from this go round? And how big is your team? Because I think that's important too.
With the writing,
Your overall team, because you talked about how you have a team.
Oh,
So
11.
when you're trying to bring a book to the shelves and to Amazon and the Barnes and Nobles, wherever, what sort of team do you need?
my team or the team on HarperCollins, like
Your team that
my
helps you
team?
to like.
I have a couple of volunteers that do research for as far as book clubs. They help me find locations. Ooh,
Good catch.
my intuition told me to catch it. They help me find locations for places to do my, book signings or what have you. A lot of things is follow up. Like even for instance, when I do big events, I have somebody that just types up the names of it. Just little admin stuff that I don't have time to do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I have like my project manager who I speak to every week, and she makes sure I do my work. So every coach has a coach in a sense, so she keeps me on track and holds me accountable. And at HarperCollins, I have a lot of help as well. They have like a publicist assigned to me, marketing team, what have you. So yeah, it's
Nice.
yeah. And I have like a few interns that help me at events and what have you. But yeah,
Very cool.
it's still falling. Crazy.
All right, Q.
Hey, Simone.
And
Okay.
it was a two-part question. Did I answer both parts?
It's okay. We'll come back.
Okay.
We have another question from Robert in the audience. He wants to know, as a first-time writer, what would be the first thing you would recommend to him on a local level to get started?
I would recommend you join a writing group, so you can have people that are experienced, maybe a few that are more experienced than you. Like hopefully you have like a teacher or what have you. Because when I was in New York, when I first started writing, all my friends were like, oh my God, this is good, yo. Of course, your friends are going to tell you it's good. But if you can actually sit down with other writers and experts, they can tell you, hey, your dialogue, you have really good dialogue, but you need to work on your scene development. They'll be able to take a step back and give you some real critique. And I think that's the most important thing. And you build up, you get peers. You have some friends now that are writers. I didn't have any writer friends when I first started. So joining a writing group was one of the best things I could have ever done. Yeah.
And I have one more question from myself. So I'm writing a mom book with 4 other women, and
Get a contract.
yes. And in this group, this mom book that we're writing, I am the only one that seems that looks like they're interested in consulting, hiring help to tell us what to do. What do you recommend, for that, for me trying to get them on board with understanding that you might need a coach, we might need, to bring an editor in now to help us move forward? Do you have any recommendations for people who think that they can do it on their own without getting extra help or a consultant to help you along in the process?
I would say look for somebody who has done something similar and maybe kind of use them as an example and look at what their team entailed and who helped them, because it's probably going to take you way longer to do it, and you're probably going to miss a lot of steps if you've never done this before. Even if it's not a mom book, but find somebody who's done a book that has other authors involved. Like, there's a lot of people doing that now, where they have like 5 authors or 6 authors or 10 authors, but maybe find, I'm sure if you need a connection, I got like 2 that I can tell you off the top of my head, to connect you with somebody that you can ask them, what are some things that you need, what are the hurdles you need to go through. But yeah, spending some money, you might want to, what you could do, barter.
Barter,
Why
right.
don't you find somebody that would, here they come again, guys, look, my proof.
Goosebumps on deck.
Why don't you find somebody that is a consultant in that way that might want to be a part of the book, have a chapter, have something, maybe an ad in the back of the book. My first book, I didn't pay for that either, hardly. My first book, Jack of all trades, master of none, was a business book, personal development book, and I had about 4 contributors, and I had a few ads in the back of the book. They helped me pay for a lot of stuff. You know what
Nikki, raise your hand. Go talk to Nikki over there.
I mean? Look at
Nikki.
that. See? There you go.
All right.
Love that.
So that's our last question. All right.
So, really quick, though, the second part of my question before, because I think that may help others who are looking to become authors or have a project in the works. What sort of learnings can you take from your experience doing like a fly on the wall that you're applying to your next book?
Oh, that's frightening me. Definitely have a timeline if you're a fiction writer, because I know that's one thing. I was very impressed with the editing team at HarperCollins because they would look at certain things. They're like, okay, that happened on Wednesday, but what happened today? And if that happened on Wednesday, what day is it now? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, like I literally had to sit back and go, oh God, like this, like I have to make a timeline. So now I know
For the story.
For the story, yeah,
Right.
sorry, yeah. So like, know where if you're writing fiction, definitely. It's good to outline it out. Some people say, oh, I want the story to write itself. I want to like let it come naturally. Yes, I have to write an outline for my next book to pitch the next book. So right now I'm working on the first few chapters
Structure.
and the actual outline. So I know exactly what's going to happen from the beginning to end. Some things might shift and change, but this is how we pitch the next book to HarperCollins. Even though I have a book deal with them, we still got to pitch it. And now
Right.
I got an agent, so that's a good thing. So I have more help to
Yeah.
ask for some more money.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
cool.
definitely structure. Have that down.
Yeah.
And if it's nonfiction, same thing. You still need an outline.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Storyboarded, what it really means. All right. Well, let's give a round to our guest, Simone Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. This is awesome. I can't wait to have some of that mac
Wait,
and cheese.
are you giving away a book today?
I actually am.
One book?
The others are on sale.
Okay.
And she's signing books if anybody brought a book.
Let's see. Hey, Teach. Where's Teach?
He's working.
I don't
He's
even know
talking
if
to
he's
somebody.
working. Is that him back there talking?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
he's in
I'm
the
talking
back.
Oh, he's in the back. Teach. All right,
Teach
so
up to the stage.
So how should we give away this book?
I would say based on participation. How many people raised their hand? Pick one of those people.
That's lame. So,
Would it make them dance or do something?
yeah. Actually, did you buy something from House of Mac? Yeah. Come on up. You gonna consult Q. So we
Oh,
gonna
that's
barter this
nice.
out. We gonna give you the book,
Give her a hand.
and you
Come
gonna
on up.
consult Q to help her get her book started. So we gonna give it to Nikki.
Very nice.
So Q, if Nikki don't consult you, take the book back. We gonna sell the book.
I'll sign it for you, lady. You're welcome.
And Simone, before we wrap up, tell everybody where they can find the book.
Yeah, we gotta be able to find you too.
Yeah.
You can, it's in all bookstores. If it's not at your local Barnes & Nobles or Books A Million or whatever bookstore, you can ask them to order it. You can also buy it on Amazon.com. Go to likeaflyonthewall.com and you'll see links to other bookstores and where you can get it. And there's also there's also the Kindle version
And where can people find you?
on ownyourpower.biz.
Nice.
Ownyourpower.biz. And Like a Fly on the Wall too, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for coming back to the season 2 opener. We'll be back next week. Tech Beats and Bytes, Digital Grass, world famous House of Mac, brought to you by the Knight Foundation and music provided by the one and only DJ Selfborn. We'll see you next week. Talk to you later.